What's going on, OrbisX family? Here is a quick video on how to set up a Zap in Zapier that will take your newly created events in OrbisX and sync them over to your Google Calendar with a quick Zap. Usually what you would do, I already have one started that'll open up, but these buttons here, Create Zap, or this one over here, Create Zap. These are the buttons that you would want to do to start creating a Zap. And then once you've done that, you can always click on a Zap to edit it. So in this case, I'll click on one that's already started, just in the interest of saving time. And so what you need to do is set up your trigger and then your action. So in this case, the trigger is when a new event is created in OrbisX. And there are two different types of triggers available in Zapier, and depending on your account, they may or may not be available. So there's hooks and then regular triggers. Hooks are instant, so meaning that the minute that you save an event or an event is saved, it will instantly send that information to Zapier. The other option is the non-hook triggers, and those ones, they do what's called polling, and basically Zapier checks every 2 to 15 minutes for new events and then ports them over. So nothing will be missed, it's always the same data. It just depends on if you want something to be instantaneous or if you want, if you don't really care, and it can all just be processed, at some point. So the first thing you're going to want to do is choose your app. So you're going to want to choose OrbisX for the first event. You would do that by just searching here, and then boom, you would select your OrbisX app that pops up, and then it's going to ask you to connect the account after you set the event. And so the event in this case, I want new events hook. I'll show you the other one, so we'll scroll down. So we have new events and then new events hook, and you'll see on the right hand side it'll say instant. That lets you know that it's an instantaneous trigger, whereas the other one would trigger on a polling every 2 to 15 minutes depending on your account. So in this case, I'm choosing the hook. I want it to be instantaneous, and then I'm going to hit continue. Then it's going to ask me to connect my account. From this stage, I've already connected this account, but what it'll ask you for are two different things, and you can find those under settings. So here I am back in OrbisX. I'll click on settings and options, and I'm going to go down to integrations, and you will see Zapier as one of the sections here, and this is where you're going to have your API key. This is a demo account, so technically it can't be linked, but you'll see your API key here, and then you'll also see your business ID. And so you're going to want to copy each of these just by clicking the link, and then you can paste that into Zapier. Whenever you go to connect an account, a pop-up will come and it'll ask you for those two details. Paste them in there and then hit continue. Once you connect an app, it'll work when you create future Zaps. You won't have to reconnect it because it'll already be connected. So essentially what we've done so far is we've chosen the app and the event. So we chose OrbisX. We chose for the event the new events hook. And then we've connected our account, and now we want to test the trigger. And so it says, great, we found some events, and then it'll populate some details here, and then we can hit continue. Now we're on to step 2, which is our action. So the first thing we did was the trigger. Now we're doing the action. This is where you want to set up the secondary app. In this case, it's going to be Google Calendar, but you can choose, any type of app. You can add multiple steps. So let's say we want a step before it goes to Google Calendar, and I don't know, maybe we want to send it to Microsoft Excel Online or something like that. You can do that with multiple steps as well. Let me cancel out of this and delete step. Yes, there we go. So in this case, what we've chosen as the app is Google Calendar, and the event type we chose create detailed event because they do have different types of actions as well. So you can create a calendar, you can, they have a quick add event, but that has less options to configure. So it's always best to do create detailed event in this case, I would assume. So we'll leave that as create detailed event. And then we're going to hit continue. And then I choose an account, you choose your Google account. And then basically from here, you can put in things like the summary, and it's going to grab the information that was pulled from our test, which is with the new events hook. So in this case, we have the title. So I'll put the title as the summary. In the description, this is where I'm going to put, customer details like the vehicle. You can put, whatever variables you want in here. and let's see, we'll put details, you know, for example, location. This is where you could put the service address, there we go. So you can basically map all your data to the fields using the variables from the previous step, which was the trigger. And so you're just mapping the details here. The start date and time, this is the important one. So let me delete this so I can show you. So the start date and time, certain apps, and Google is one of them, require dates and times to be in a certain format. So what you don't want to do is take this here, event date, because then it doesn't have a time, so Google will just fill it in with some default. And you don't want to do this here, start time, because then you don't have the date. So what you want is the date and time one. So it'll pop up like this, and it's got what looks like a strange format, and it's because this is to be read by computers basically. And what it's telling the computer is this is the date, so 2022, 10 for October, 12 for the day, and then T, it's telling it the time zone as well. So that's where you have the 10:30, so that would be 10:30 in the morning, and then 0400, that's my offset from my time zone. So it's, in this case, it's, you know, hyphen or minus 0400, and so that's the time zone. So that's the format that Google wants. So we'll choose that as the date and time, and then now we've got that set. Now the end time, this is where you can do some pretty cool stuff with Zapier, where you can do things to modify dates. So the end time, what we're going to want to do is choose the date and time again. So date and time. But in this case, it's not supposed to end at the same time. We've obviously set a duration for how long this event will be. So we're going to add a space, then we're going to hit the plus sign, and then we will choose another variable from here, which is the duration variable. So we have here duration, and then in brackets it says minutes. So it's 180 minutes. And then what we're going to want to do, because it's in minutes, do another space and put an M. Actually, I don't think you need the space in this case, sorry. So just a space between the date and time, you put a space, plus, select the duration, and then M for minutes. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell Zapier when it sends the data over to Google, in this case, it's going to say start time, here's the date and time. For the end time, it's going to say take the start time and add 180 minutes. And so that'll essentially add our 3 hours to the 10:30 start time. And then essentially from there, we can just go continue, and that's where you can do test and review. And it's going to send this over to, and you'll see here, send create detailed event to Google Calendar. A create detailed event was sent to Google Calendar about 9 seconds ago. And then you can see it's been sent, and here's all the information, status confirmed. So the test went through, and it did save it at Google. And as you'll see, based on what we did for the start and end time, so we have date and time that was sent. This is the 10:30 with the minus 400. And so then they have a date time pretty, October 12th, 2022, 10:30. But then because we modified the date for the end time, you can see here it changes it. So it's now 13:30, which is 1:30. And then you can see that by the date and time pretty variable, which shows October 12th, 2022, 1:30 p.m. So this is how you would do this for Google. It will work similarly for any other apps you want to connect in Zapier. So essentially you're doing data mapping, and one great thing with Zapier is that you can do those modifiers as well to set the end time, and that's how you would do it. All right, have a great day.